Well, good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Here we are live again in For the Love of Dragons. This is what we do every week, right? Because we want to expand. We want to know our experiences. We want to share our experiences. We want to move beyond them and learn more, learn how to connect with the dragons. And that's what I do. So we have, again, a lot of new people in the group. Very excited about that. And, maybe 8 or 10 months ago, I started putting parameters of questions on for people joining the group because I wanted to see that people were really understanding that our group, For the Love of Dragons, is about connecting to the dragons, consciously connecting, working with them, learning how to work with them, understanding your experiences, understanding something that someone else might have told you in a healing session, that there's dragons present. What does that mean? So that's why I'm here. It's why I'm bringing so many tools, like the Oracle deck just released for pre-order. Very excited to see those daily coming in with more and more orders. So it's really exciting to see that come to fruition. But this whole group, the reason I put those questions in is for people to really understand, wow, this is about learning. And so knowing that I come on every week and talk about different topics with the dragons, different questions you guys have asked. I didn't have a question from someone else this week, and I thought, I want to get people sharing their own experiences, and we've had a few lately that are awesome, and I just, sometimes I get them by email, and I'll share them in anonymously, but the more that we can share, the more that those that are new in the group are going to feel free to share their own. They're going to understand that what they experienced was real, and that they're not crazy to want to share it. And so that's my impetus. So I want to tell some stories today. This is going to be sort of fun because some of you have not heard about things that happened in Tibet and Sedona. I don't think I've shared these particular stories, but it's about that connection. It's about you being out in nature and being out somewhere and realizing like, whoa, there's a massive dragon right there. I can connect with that dragon. I can commune with that dragon. I can awaken that dragon. So wanted to just bring in those pieces. So let's go into Tibet. I know many of you recall, let's see, it was a year and a half ago now. How is the time flying? And it was September 2019 that I took a group to Tibet, and I expected to go into Mount Fuji. I had two big trips planned for 2020 that changed, and so we did a lot more remote work, which was very cool too. But Tibet was, I think there was an impetus for me. My guides really pushed me and said, the time is now, you have to go this year. I understand that now. Why? Because it was the biggest piece as far as a soul responsibility or a contract that I had of energy work that I needed to do there. And I recall when I walked out of this portal where I'm going to share the story from, or one of the stories from Tibet, that as I crossed through this energetic portal, and there's we did the why am I blanking on the trek that we did? We did 3 days around Kailash. We did the Kailash Kora, is what it's called, and it takes 3 days to walk around. And so coming out the final day, both on the day and on the day out, there's an energetic bridge that you sort of pass through. Not everybody can detect that because they're not kinetic or sense energy necessarily yet. But for me, it's very evident. And when we were walking down, coming on the path, and there was maybe a mile and a half left, maybe a little more than that, for the final day coming out, I passed through this energetic doorway that I stopped and I went, oh my gosh, this is the gateway. I can feel the difference between the energy of the Kailash sort of epicenter or energetic core and that which is outside of it. And I just passed out of it and I went, wow, okay, that was big. I need to pay attention. So I looked around and there was a dragon across the river. It was a river valley, and across the river there was a dragon looking at me. And then to the right, this was what was very interesting, is I had been watching for heartstones all along the way, and I ended up being gifted 14, one for everybody in the group plus myself. And that was amazing that over the 3 days I just kept finding these heartstones, really incredible ones. But I was drawn to look up because the rock formation changed. It was very different than where we had been walking. It was this big, beautiful red rock. And as I was looking at it, I realized that it was a dragon's nose, and the full head and body went up the ridge. And it was right at a little creek. It was a dry bed creek, and there was a little bridge over it. And so I stopped, and I knew that I had to commune with this dragon. So I went down into the creek bed, and I put my hands up and touched the nose and just communed for a few minutes. Allowed some light language to go through, felt some heart communication. And that dragon was so, they get very excited when you connect with them. Why? Why do they get so excited when we connect with them? Because humanity is reaching out to them finally. It's their indicator that humanity is ready. Humanity is ready to embrace the dragons again. Because they had to hide, right? They had to hide because we were chasing them. They were getting defensive. They were being hunted down. Like, it really went bad for the dragons. So being the loving beings that they are, they just sort of hunkered down into the earth while they're still sitting there waiting after all these hundreds or thousands of years that they've been laying down. And they get excited because they feel humanity wanting to interact with them, wanting to embrace and have that connection again, which means they can wake up and come out of the ground and start moving around again. So I communed with this dragon, and then I got this sense of, wait a minute, you need to back up. So I walked out to the other side of the creek bed and got up back on the trail on the other side, and I looked and I realized there were two. He was trying to show me his partner was right next to him, and actually a fully different color of rock. So this was amazing, and I'll post some pictures later. I've got pictures of these guys that I can put in the comments. So here I'm looking at the one, face on, full on in the nose and the eyes and the whole ridge up the back. And then I realized that his partner, his twin, is laying right next to him in a greenish rock. Just right there, it's the same. There's the nose, there's the ridge up the neck and back. And it was so beautiful, and so I went back in and I just connected energetically with both. And as I was about to leave, he could feel I was about done, and he said, look down at your feet. And so I looked down in the dry creek bed, and there was the most amazing stone that he was showing and saying, catching my attention with, here's a gift for you. But back to the sensation I had about Tibet and why it was so important for me on a soul level. One of my soul contracts is I really felt as I passed this portal a sadness. There was a deep sadness that settled in, but there was also like this massive weight lifted off my shoulders. It was very interesting to experience that and feel like, wow, something big that I didn't even know was weighing me down just lifted up. It was like, tick mark, responsibility done. That one is done. You've completed that. And that was a really big piece, activating the four corners around that, Cora. Because what ended up happening is there were 4 sites on the corners. It was the pyramid base. And then because of that, we were able to actually connect to the core, to the center, and activate that pillar of light that runs through Middle Earth, down through Shambhala. And that kicked off many things. So going back to the first day of that trip, and the second day of that trip, we were walking up. No, it was the first day, because the second day was the passes, getting over 18,000 feet. All right. So moving up the first day, again, you're walking up a river valley. And so this is something to pay attention to, especially for those of you that like to hike, to be in nature, to be in the mountains, to watch the ridges, because the really big dragons will actually be an entire ridge in a mountain range, and you'll at some point see and delineate where the head is. So walking up this canyon, it was about halfway into the day that I finally realized, because I could see far enough up the canyon where there were 2 heads coming together, where the canyon veered off to the right, which is where we would be going, and then there was a different canyon that went to the left. So here were these 2 dragons, and then when I realized they were there, I was able to look back and see the whole ridgeline and realize, because you can feel them energetically, but until you actually see it, you're sort of drawn to start looking, and there it was. So there's a dragon heading up either side of the ridge, nose towards where we were headed, towards where the monasteries are along the second day, and where we would be staying that night. But the one that really surprised me was all along, I'm walking up this trail, and I just kept feeling like one of my masters, one of my ancient teachers, was staring at me. And he was a dragon. And it was like he was looking straight at me as I was walking. So I kept looking around going, where is this dragon? I can feel it. And sure enough, when I could get up to the camera, I could see straight in, looking straight down the river valley. And he was very well, it was a very ancient being, and he was well sunken down into the hill. But energetically, you can still perceive them. So his nose was coming out straight towards me. His ridge back went right up, but it had sort of eroded off, so it was more rounded. It wasn't one of the very obvious ones in the mountains. But if you can feel the energy, you can pick up on it. And so I felt him communing and talking to me the entire walk up, where I literally started looking around like, that's one of my ancient teachers. Why is my master here? Why? Where is he? And I realized it was connected to the lifetimes that I've had in that land, that were merging back in and bringing some completion pieces for me. So watch the canyons. That's the other place where, great story. When I was in Sedona with my dragon heart, so this was 2018. It was in the fall of 2018 that I took my first dragon heart group, and we did a retreat in Sedona for 3 days. And wow, we had some experiences there. That was my first actual UFO sightings with photos. That was a kickoff of really understanding the dynamics of the activations, what we were doing, and the formations of them, the geometrics of them. But moving up, one of the points was up Schnebley Hill Road. So if you've been to Sedona or you're planning to go, just write this down, because there's dragons all over the place. But this one was really cool because I knew we had to get up to an area that wasn't all the way in Schnebley Hill. It was near the cow pies area, where it's just a bunch of rock formations that look, I guess, from the sky like big cow pies or cow patties. And we had quite an adventure to get there. I was just recalling yesterday morning, for some reason, it triggered me that none of the cars that we had 2 rental cars with the group, and they weren't able to go up a 4-wheel drive road. And I had not realized ahead of time that Schnebley Hill Road was literally like a big class 4-wheel drive road with major rocks, and it's rough. And so they do Jeep tours up there, but we were limited. Even if I wanted to take the group, there were not tour companies that would let you out to go do what you wanted to do for an hour. They were on a schedule. And so they basically drive you up, take you to the scenic viewpoints, and then drive you down. And we didn't want that. So we had to actually hitchhike. Hello, Coralie. Good to see you in France. So we actually had to hitchhike. So here we were, this group of, I'm trying to remember, I think there were 6 of us total. And we had a pickup truck that had room in the back, stop. And here we are in the back of a pickup truck, bumpity bump for about 3 miles. And they let us off pretty close to where we wanted to be. They let us off where we wanted to be. And then we walked back down a ways before we got a ride down. So it was several miles in. And we went out to the cow pies. And I wasn't paying attention to the canyons. I wasn't paying attention to the ridges. I was feeling the call of where the activation site was. So got on the little trail to go out to the cow pies. And when I got out there, I knew that we didn't need to go all the way to the end. There was something that energetically drew me as we walked across this one rock flat where there were little rock cairns showing the path. And something drew me to the left. I was like, it's out here, guys. We need to go out here. And so we walked out on this big flat rock. There was, I kid you not, about a 3 to 4 foot diameter, or a cross, with the cross, heart space in the rock that was like sunken down inward, eroded just right, that it created this big heart. And it was like, that's what was calling. It was saying, here, this is the spot. So we did our formation. We created the geometric of 6 that had been shown to me. And it was as we completed the activation, and I kid you not, this was the first time that every activation we did, we felt Tiamat's eye come up through the core of the geometry as it kicked in. As it activates, Metatron's cube starts spinning. So Metatron's cube started spinning, and then Tiamat's eye came up, and that was my confirmation that it was done. But the other beautiful confirmation that I got every single time is that if there was any breeze at all, it would stop while we were doing the activation or right before we started. And at the end, even if there was no wind before, this beautiful whoosh about 30 seconds, a very powerful wind from the air dragons would come as if a confirmation of, there it is, done deal. Like something shifted within the atmosphere and the wind shear came, and then it would settle back down again and be totally still. That time, though, was an incredible view where I watched. We had already done 3 of the points of the 5. So there were 4 corner points and a center point. We'd done 3 of the points, which was enough to get past the, what do you call it? The pivot point, or the necessary energetic, that I looked down the canyon at Sedona. And I literally energetically, with my eyes open, watched the entire pyramid that we were activating the corners of form up to the apex, connect into the apex below, and begin to unscrew itself. Anti-clockwise movement with this whole pyramid. And that was very interesting because we hadn't done the other 2 points yet in the physical, but the energetic realm had already reached the crux point. And this is what's powerful about energy work, and why everything is energy. This is a hologram. When we get past the fact that this is a hologram, we're going to really progress quickly. And so the energetic moves ahead because it's not stuck in the hologram. It's not stuck in our perception. And I literally watched it unpin itself. The base pyramid was spinning the opposite direction, and I was shown, I finally understood what was happening, is that as these 2 halves unscrewed themselves, these points, these activation points in the grid, in the matrix points that the dragons have held all this time, were literally like the thumbtacks or the push pins that were holding this layer of 3D, the skin on Gaia that is this holographic 3D, in place. And that every time an activation happened, it was literally pulling that push pin out, which, when enough push pins are out, will actually get us past that tipping point to where the whole thing can just unweave itself. And this is what's been happening since then. And anyway, so the dragons, this was the whole story, was the dragons in the canyon. After seeing that, I turned, and where I was in that heart space, I looked to my left. I was drawn to look to my left, and I realized that that entire ridge was a massive dragon facing Sedona. And then I was told, we'll look the other direction. And there was a massive dragon in that ridge with his face towards us, and we were right about heart level between both of them. So when I lined them up, I realized that we were standing on this heart. Here goes my body tingles. I was standing with the group around this heart-shaped depression in the rock, literally in a line connecting these 2 partners. And I know they were twin flames. Oh, there goes my whole body again. Can you guys feel that? I'm getting emotional about it too, remembering that heart chakra of the one on this side and the heart chakra of the one on this side were perfectly aligned to where we were standing. And there we were in this heart space. That was, I hadn't even seen them before that, but we were led to this space, and it was afterwards that I realized the alignment. That's perfection. That's when you're following and allowing. So letting those kinds of experiences come through. Why do I want to share the stories? Why do I encourage you guys to share your stories into the group? Is because as those stories get shared, other people will remember something and maybe trigger that, oh my gosh, that's what was happening. Or, wow, I didn't realize at the time that was probably a dragon. And maybe you can go back and spend some more time with that dragon in that place. Even if it's a distant place and you go energetically, you can still travel. Your body's energetic. This is how you start teleportation, remembering how to do it. Moving out to that. So all these experiences are so powerful. And even our experiences in meditations are powerful. I know that I've been working with the Andaran dragons this year, and I will tell you that we have a book club coming up starting a week from Thursday on the 22nd of April. We're starting on Earth Day. I love that. We're going to have 6 weeks. It's a very exciting group of big time international. I believe we've got Australia, Taiwan, Canada, and South Africa in so far. That's exciting to me because when it's the biggest expanse, I know big things are going to happen. I will tell you, honest to God truth, the first times that the Andaran dragons showed up to me and showed me that we were at a place ready to work with them because of their energetic level, we have to keep getting within a certain range of frequency where when we're at this base frequency, we can access the much higher ones. And so the Andarans started showing up in a book club over a year ago. And I do the meditations off the cuff in book club. Every week it's based on the group that's there, what energy is coming, what dragons want to be present. And we get all kinds of new combinations. First time I met flame dragons was through book club. It was incredible. So if you've been wanting to do a book club or wanting to just feel that for yourself, it's a pretty small investment for the 6 weeks to get in on some big transformation. It happens very quickly. Like it's more like a mini program than a book club. Everyone always says it's so much more than a book club, because it is. Because literally the discussions that we have and the meditations that we have tend to trigger a lot of rapid growth in that 6 weeks. So I think it's why it's one of the most fun things. Hello, Willow, good to see you. I was combining Willow and Kelly and Willie. Hello. And in that, Andarans, that's the whole reason. If you guys have seen me showing the Andaran pendants lately, starting to work with the Andaran dragons was why I actually moved into having created, because these weren't available to me from the source I had. I had to ask for these to be created. Finding Andara stones that resonated and having them wrapped with the dragon energy so that you are recognizing, feeling the dragon energy that comes with this stone. This is the purple Merlinite, very powerful, and that it's just got a beautiful soft energy. The purple Merlinite it's like soft magic. Having that, because of the way the Andarans work, they come through the crystal like a guide would, like the beings, the galactic beings that come into crystal skulls do. Very, very powerful. So those are the different tools, whether it's book club, pendants. The reason I get inspired to bring different things through, the oracle deck that's now available, different guided meditations, is so that you guys have the tools to keep waking up those pieces within you, so that you have the experiences like this that you can then share with others, to get them waking up, to get them on their own journey and discovery back to self. Whether they're a dragon or not, they may have a dragon guide. If they have a connection, maybe they were a dragon rider, that maybe they were a being that operated and helped care for crushes or nurseries of dragons, where there's always connections. They're very prevalent in the universe and multiverses, and so many beings interact with them. So someone you know is maybe a star being or an angelic being, they might have a connection to dragons, and you might be the one to help wake them up to that. So hopefully these stories were fun for you. It was fun for me to relive some of them, and I encourage you, as you have your own experiences, to come in and share them in the group. You can't do a live video, but you can certainly type out and share whatever tidbits you can, and what happened for you with that. What woke within you? Was it just a little dragon coming and saying hello, as in I recognize you, or cuckoo, hello, I'd like to play with you? I've had all of those. I think I shared about the dragon in Cambridge that hopped on my back, a little young dragon. He wasn't young, he was old, but he was small. And so he hopped on my back, like for a piggyback ride, to leave the place where he was, because he could tell, somehow he energetically knew we were heading to a place where I ended up walking through a portal. That's where he wanted to go. And so he hopped on my back to leave Cambridge and get a free ride. And then I got to have that experience, very playful. And then I've had other experiences where it was just a sort of coming through the trees. I shared in outside of Montreal when I was up at it's Lac. I'm forgetting the name now. It was like Helen. Hilaire, Mont Saint Hilaire, Lac Hilaire. About an hour outside of Montreal. Got up there where this crystal's growing. Of course, if there's a crystal growing up in a lake naturally, that there's going to be a dragon guardian somewhere around. And I had already seen on the Google Maps, this is a great way to see them from above, 2 dragons that were guarding that lake, wrapped around it, head to tail, like this, head to tail, or I guess like this, if the thumbs are the head. So head to tail wrapped around. But then a resident dragon came and showed himself on the far end of the lake and changed the foliage of the trees so that it was brighter. I mean, that energy stepping in made the leaves brighter, and I could see the whole outline of the face, and he literally was just sort of curious about me, but also saying hello. And you're going to have those experiences if you know that that's possible. If you even can watch for it, you may not be expecting it, but if you're conscious enough to be like looking around when you get somewhere, it may just happen. So, thank you. There's a beautiful comment there. I can't see the whole thing, but I'm feeling gratitude coming from someone. So I appreciate that. I love being in this space. I love sharing with you guys. I love Tuesdays because I get to be with my family of dragons here in the live. And then at 12:30 my time, I get to go and teach my Dragonheart program. So it's always an incredible day for me. And why I have the Fire Dragon here, the canvas of the Fire Dragon. This is one of the cards in the Oracle deck, Fire Dragon card. And that Fire Dragon is one of the ones we're working with today with the Dragon Hearts. We are going into the eye of the dragon in a big, big way, working with the Earth and the Fire Dragons. So looking forward to my day. I hope you're looking forward to yours, and have an incredible week. I look forward to seeing you next week here in For the Love of Dragons. Please feel free to share this out. Comment, bring your questions, because your question or comment might be next week's live. All right, much love to you guys. If you want to get the pendants or the Oracle deck or information, just go to dragonwithin.com/layer is where all the goodies are, and you'll see where the book and the guided meditations and all the different tools are. Online courses, everything. All right, have a great week, everybody. Bye for now.